Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about a two-player cat and mouse skirmish game. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Rebellion. And in this game, one player is going to be taking the role of the Empire, one player is going to be taking the role of the Rebel Alliance. The Empire is going to be trying to discover the Rebel base and destroy it, and the Rebels are going to try and run the clock down so that the Empire end up wetting their pants. So in this video, we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, be telling you what we do like, we don't like. And we'll come back to tell you whether or not Star Wars Rebellion is worth your time of bother today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. We'll see you after this. Bollocks. So, Star Wars Rebellion. How'd you play this game? So first things first, if I look like Robinson Crusoe on drugs, that's probably because I am, because I've been holed up for the last month with sciatica and I still can't walk properly, and I'm drugged up to the eyeballs on cocodamol, so that's why I look a little bit unwashed and unkempt. So Star Wars Rebellion is basically a cat and mouse skirmish game. It's driven by cards and dice, right? One player's going to be taking the role of the Empire, the other player's going to be taking the role of the Rebel Alliance, and at first glance it looks like the Empire could just turn around, fart and wipe the Rebel Alliance off the map, right? But that's not the case, because it's not really one of them games where you are outgunned. It's a cat and mouse game where the Empire's objective is to find the Rebel base, right? So you're going to deal out a load of different cards. The Empire is going to have project cards, the Rebels are going to have objective cards, and you're also going to get mission cards that each side is going to be playing during the game, right? You'll set up the board with a load of these little miniatures. Some are really decent, some are pretty crappy looking, the truth be told. You'll set up your first game as you're told in the book, but there is an advanced setup, but we're not going to talk about that because I can't be asked. So this game is split into three phases. There is the assignment phase where you'll be playing mission cards and putting your leaders on top of them. There's the command phase where you'll be playing these mission cards and also trying to oppose your opponent's missions. I suppose that's why they call it opposing, really. And then there'll be the refresh phase where you'll be able to maybe build or recruit new leaders, and you'll just basically do a little bit of refresh. So the first thing you're going to do in the assignment phase is you're going to look at your hand of mission cards. You're going to choose some to play. You'll choose the mission card you want to do, you put it face down in front of you, and then you put a leader on top of that card, right? Both sides are going to have mission cards that are going to come back to them once they've played them, but generally when you play mission cards, they are out of the game for good, so you'll be very mindful about which ones you are going to play. So for instance, the Empire might want to play the interrogation mission card. It says attempt against the captured leader. If successful, the rebel player must reveal his hand of objective cards, and this refers to leaders being taken hostage. You'll put a ring around the leader. There might be different types of rings. You might be able to put the carbonite ring around the leader, which means they're going to be stuck in a very awkward pose, Han Solo style. Or the rebels might want to play public uprising. This says that you can attempt it in any subjugated system. Subjugated system is sort of like a degraded system that's run by the Empire, where they've got a little bit of presence there, not enough to take full control of that region, right? So play this in any subjugated region. If you're successful, gain one ship and all ground units in the system, and then resolve a combat, right? So it says if successful, right? This is because the opponent can oppose missions. The way that you oppose missions is that you'll choose one of your leaders that you didn't assign to a mission card, and you'll dump it in that system, and then you'll see that on each of the leaders you'll have a certain number of icons. This tells you how many dice you can roll to try and fulfill or oppose a mission. You'll see on each mission card that there is a symbol that matches the symbol on the leaders cards, and this tells you how many dice you can roll. So if you've got, say, one yellow symbol, you'll be able to roll one dice, right? Got it? Yeah, you're not stupid, are you? So that's the assignment phase done and dusted. So next phase is command phase, and this is where you'll be revealing your missions. You'll be playing them out onto the card like we just told you about 2 minutes ago. Unless you've forgotten, you've got a brain like a goldfish, then you can oppose the missions and do this and that. If you oppose a mission, you roll some dice and you have to get equal to or more than your opponent to foil a mission. If it's full, then it just gets thrown into the galactic bin. And if you don't want to play a mission card, you can use one of your unexpunged leaders to move into an adjacent system. You'll just take your leader and you'll move some ships into that adjacent system. You can't move through those big chunky orange carrot looking chunks, right? You can't do it. Don't try it. So once everyone's decided that they've done playing mission cards, or they can't play mission cards, or they've done chucking leaders into systems and moving their ships around, then you move into the refresh phase. You'll take all of your used leaders off the board, stick them in your leader pool. Each player will draw 2 mission cards, but you can't have no more than 10, right? All right. You'll launch the probe drawers. This is basically the Empire's way of trying to fizzle down the amount of places that the rebel could be hiding the base, because at the beginning of the game, the rebel players are going to be choosing where they're going to be putting the rebel base, and they're going to be taking a card out of the probe deck, right? So the Empire players, as they progress through the game, is going to be gradually going through the probe deck and whittling down where the rebel base is going to be. The rebel player will draw an objective card, and this is one of the keys to a rebel victory, right? Because every time you fulfill an objective card, you'll move the reputation marker closer towards the time marker, right? And if they both meet in the middle, then the rebels win the game, right? So the rebels might draw crippling blow, and it says combat. Play at least after 3 health worth of Imperial ground units have been destroyed in the combat that you initiated, right? I know it sounds easy, but it's basically like trying to crimp off a length when you're really constipated. And believe it or not, they get even harder than that, right? You might end up playing Death Star plans. And this is another combat one. It says, if you have at least one fighter after a space battle step, reveal this card to roll 3 dice. If you roll one of them planety sort of symbols, play this card, destroy Death Star in the system. Otherwise, you return this card to your hand, right? This is more impossible than me growing my hair back. So once you have done that, you'll move the time marker 1 space closer to the rebel's reputation marker. If there's a recruit icon, you'll be able to draw a couple of action cards. You'll be able to choose one of them, recruit the leader that is on that action card, and you'll be able to keep the action card for a little bit of sneaky skullduggery later on in the game. If there's a build icon, you have to look at all of the systems on the board that's got one of your tokens on it, and then it will tell you what ships you can build. You'll stick them in the relevant box on the ship building thing on the other side, right? And at the end of every refresh phase, you'll move all the ships down one box, and if they fall off the end, like on a conveyor belt of shippery, then you'll get to place them on the board in any space which you control, right? If there's ever rebel scum and empire nutters on the same space, then you'll have a bit of combat. If the faction ain't got a leader, then you'll be able to chuck a leader into that space, right? The benefit of this is it allows you to draw tactic cards, either ground unit tactic cards or star battle tactic cards, right? So you might draw the defensive formation, which allows you to block 1 damage, or you might draw the dig in. It says discard 1 ground tactic card from your hand to block up to 2 damage. Or you might have the no escape star battle tactic card. It says during this combat round, your opponent cannot retreat. Or you might have the brilliant strategy, and it says draw 2 tactic cards from either deck or from one each if you roll the like circle with the cross in it thing, right? So these tactic cards are quite powerful. They do make or break the game. So it's in your interest to get a bleeding good leader into the right spot at the right time. So once you've done playing tactic cards, you'll go into a round of combat. You'll do the spaceships first, and you'll do the grunts on the ground last. You'll roll all your dice. You'll look at your player sheet. They'll tell you how many red or grey dice you get to roll. You roll them, and then you'll be able to play some of the tactic cards that you drew before you start a combat. You'll then assign damage. Each hit, you'll put a hit. If any of the spaceships are destroyed, then you'll have to wait until your opponent has had a crack at you, because combat happens simultaneously, innit? You don't just get to knock them out one punch these days, do you? The players will get the option to retreat, you'll get the option of block damage, and then you'll destroy units, and you'll keep going until either one player's retreated or one player has been destroyed, yeah? So once you're done with the refresh phase, you'll keep doing this until either the rebel reputation marker meets the Empire's time marker, or the Empire discovers a rebel base, destroys all of the units that are in the rebel base spot on the board, and either the Empire or the rebels will be the winner of Star Wars Rebellion. So what do we like about Star Wars Rebellion? So the first thing that we really like about this one is it's as close to Star Wars as you are going to get, right? There's not really any other games out there that sort of capture the spirit of the original 3 Star Wars movies like this one. It allows you to sort of retell the original Star Wars trilogy, but with a different timeline. It allows you to sort of add in your own little storylines by playing the cards, right? So really this game, it's not really sort of a word-for-word retelling of the original Star Wars movies. It's more a reimagining of the Star Wars movies. And whilst that's not really what we wanted when we cracked this box open, it's about as close as you're going to get. So we'll live with that. So the second thing that we really like about this is the cat and mouse mechanism is actually quite fun. The fact that you're going to be pulling cards out of the probe deck each time the Empire lands ground troops onto a planet means you're going to be whittling down not only the options for where the Empire can go, but also the options for where the rebel player can relocate their base. This reminds us a little bit of like that Dr. Black Cluedo mechanism, you know, where you remove one of the suspects from the deck at the beginning of a game of Cluedo, or Clue if you're one of our American colleagues. So whilst that mechanism isn't completely novel and it is used in a really, really shoddy Hasbro game, it does work really, really well with this one. So the first thing that we really like, and this is probably the thing that I like the most about it, is that there's no mention of those shitty prequels or the even shittier sequels in this, right? This is just pure original Star Wars trilogy. It's got all of the wonderful original characters in there. You're going to have your stalwarts, Luke Skywalker's in there, Chewbacca's in there, Han Solo's in there, Palpatine's in there. There's no Kylo Ren, there's none of that Jar Jar Binks bullshit, which I'm absolutely ecstatic about, because I don't need no more bullshit in my life. I've already got enough. So the final thing that we like about Star Wars Rebellion is that, we've touched upon this already, but it allows you to tell your own Star Wars story by playing cards, right? You do get some memorable moments when the Empire player destroys a planet, and then out come all of the references to Alderaan. So you're going to find yourself making loads of Star Wars quotes, loads of Star Wars gags in this, and it does evoke memories about when I was about 4 years old and saw Star Wars on ITV in 1979. So what don't we like about Star Wars Rebellion? So the first thing that we don't like about it is that opposing a mission makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, right? So the Empire is going to say, right, I'm going to try and do this mission in this system. Do you want to oppose it? Yes, I'll do. And then suddenly out of the blue, Chewbacca appears in the middle of the Dagobah system for no reason whatsoever. I mean, how did he get there? What did he do? Fly an X-Wing like 7,000 light years? I don't think so. So it doesn't make no sense, does it? It's a ludicrous thing, and it just stinks of laziness. So the second thing we don't like about this is the card backs are a pain in the ass to sort out when you first crack the box open. I was fuming, absolutely fuming, trying to figure out, well, which are the objective cards, which are the project cards. Turns out the project cards have got the same bloody back as the objective cards. All they had to do, Fantasy Flight, is put the name of the bleeding card on the back of the card. Would have made life a lot easier, wouldn't it? So the next thing we don't like about it, and this is probably the main downfall of the game, and the thing that prevents me from playing it as much as I'd like to play it, right, is that it's too bleeding long. And the end game is a bit lackluster because, especially for the Rebel player, time and time again, you're going to find yourself not being able to play any cards. You're just going to be moving around, trying to evade the Empire's forces, hoping that they don't land their ground troops on your base, right? So it's not only too long, but the end game can get a little bit boring. So, is Star Wars Rebellion worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we're going to say yes, and that's not because it's an absolutely fantastic 5-star game. It's because this essentially is as good as you're going to get at the moment, right? It's a decent but yet highly flawed Star Wars game that doesn't quite hit the highs that we were hoping for. And it simply doesn't break any new ground in its mechanisms, yeah? We've seen it all before in other games like Cluedo, Twilight Imperium. It borrows from that. It borrows from War of the Ring. It borrows from quite a few things. It takes a little bit too long, and the end game can be a little bit lackluster from time to time. So as we said just a minute ago, this is as good as it's going to get for the time being. So it's a take it or leave it kind of thing. And I guess we're just going to have to take it because it's better than its closest competitor, War of the Ring, which sort of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, yeah? So we sort of do recommend Star Wars Rebellion simply because it stands on its own with not many games that can touch it in terms of scope, enjoyment and theme, right? So there you go. That's Star Wars Rebellion. Remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel, right? Hit the like button, subscribe and all that bollocks. We'll see you next time.